What I've been seeing with my mail specifically is less hate calls and more just positive responses, which is making me get into that mode of like, hey, the market is starting to soften. The market is primed to sell land.
This time of year, people might throw things out. People might put it in a pile and take care of it in January. Texting, like, they're gonna see that text message. Maybe they don't respond, but they're going to see that, and it is a cheaper way to reach out.
You can still sell land at this time of the year, right? I have sold land this time of the year. People think it slows down, but like a deal pops up, a deal pops up.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. In this episode, I'm joined by Darrick Bourgeois, a very, very successful land investor. He's one of our coaches on staff, helps so many people grow their land business. Today, we're talking all about that. What should you be doing today, end of 2025, going into 2026 to be growing your land business? Excited for this topic. We're going to get very tactical in this. Darrick, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here, y'all. I'm excited about this topic.
Yeah, it's always should be a topic. Like, what should you be doing to grow in your business? Like, do not ever get complacent with this stuff. But Darrick, before we hit the record button on here, I think one thing I'd like to start with is just like the market. The market's a little weird right now. Market's always a little weird as you go into like the holiday season because less people are outside. Like, it's getting colder in some areas. Like I'm in Ohio, like it's not as comfortable outside today as it was a month ago. People aren't going to look for land, but let's just start there, Darrick. We're getting towards the end of the year. What changes at the end of the years?
Yeah. So for whatever reason, so the last, 2.5 years, I've been doing land investing near the end of the year because I've been doing it for 3 years, but 1 year I started earlier on. The end of the year seems to be when people start looking at liquidity in their finances. So I see that a lot, whether it's like wanting to get some cash for the holidays or coming up to the end of the year knowing that they're going to have a big tax bill beginning of 2026. But this year I think is so much different because of the instability I think in the economic markets. A lot of people are looking at cashing in their land to get more liquid into different assets, whether it's stocks or gold and silver. You see that a lot. Bitcoin, like that's all a thing. But land is hard to liquidate, right? Like land is it's a little bit harder of an asset to sell because it's not liquid, right? I can't just go to the bank and be like, I'd like to sell my land today, where I could do that with like any other asset. So people are looking to get a little bit more liquid, pay some debts down, whatever it is. So that combined with the end of the year kind of bump, like, we haven't had this kind of situation in the last 2 years, but in the last 2 years, every time in Q4, I've probably bought 40% of my properties for the year in the last quarter. I mean, just this week, and this I know I get that this is anecdotal, but I haven't been doing anything different all year. But I got 6 properties under contract last week, and I'm just seeing this bump, and obviously I get to see it also at scale with all my coaching clients. A lot of my coaching clients are coming into the 90-day program like we're saying we're going to guarantee one deal, but most of them are working on 2 or 3 deals in those 90 days at this point. And I'm like, I don't think I'm that great of a coach. I do think it has to do a little bit with this economy and how people are just kind of getting out of land and getting into other things or just getting more liquid cash in their bank account, whether they've lost a job or whatever it is, and stack that on top of just the regular like end of year people are selling off land. So uh I think it's a super awesome opportunity to really grow your business. I think right now is like a great time to be stacking inventory, um, you know, buying lots of land. And the crazy thing is you could sell land obviously through this time of year as well. But always every year, beginning January and February, there seems to be this giant sell off. I end up usually in like March and April with like no properties in inventory. And I'll be stressing out in December, like, oh, I gotta sell these properties. And all of a sudden January hits and they all sell within, you know, a 3 week period, and I'm like, I should have bought more. Like I always get to that point, and so it's just we need to be hitting the gas right now. Like every land investor out there needs to be hammering marketing. So
Acquisition wise, like really like fighting. And some people like naturally like when the market's a little, I don't know, it's just uncertain. And we've talked about this a lot the last few weeks in terms of just uncertainty in the market. People run to sell things. That happens in the stock market, like stock market, and then that's when you see a drop off that's too big in like the stock market of like, okay, everyone's kind of fear selling or whatever, and the people that make the most money are buying at these times. When things go down, the people that are making the most money are buying. And what's interesting too about this time and just like where the market's been the last 2, 3 years is overall appreciation over the last 24 months probably isn't that great. So I think I guarantee there's sellers. A lot of people are always looking for sellers who have owned land for 30 years. There's probably people a little frustrated. Like, everyone told me I'm going to get this appreciation of this land that I bought 2 years ago, and they're not getting it. Like, I think the volume of sellers out there is greater right now than it's been probably since, like, right when the uncertainty started with COVID. And I think there's just so much opportunity, like you said, in acquiring land. But let's get into one key with this, Derek, is like, you cannot just be paying any price for land. Like, you need to be negotiating with sellers. Is that a big strategy of yours right now? It's like, I need to have a little bit more of a buffer room because selling, I want to undercut the market a little bit.
Absolutely. I think we can get way more. I don't know if I'm saying more aggressive or less aggressive with pricing, but I think we're seeing more deals at like that 40%, where, the last couple of years I've been operating that like 45 or 48%, even up to 60% on some deals where I'm just going for double closes. But now I'm seeing stuff where I'm like, I was just able to negotiate a huge, 300. I had an initial offer for 312,000 down to 250,000. So like we're getting stuff way below what I thought we would be able to get. So I think there's an opportunity now to also be like undercutting the market because people need the cash. And land is, like I said, land is a little bit harder to sell, so people are willing to do those lower offers and take that cash and run with it. So I think there's this opportunity to also to not be working in that, like, 45 to 50%, but like getting stuff at 35, 40%. I think we're in that kind of time frame right now also. So absolutely. And because really on the tail end of this, the better deal you get, the lower you can sell it, when you get it back up on the market. Because if things are selling for a little bit lower, if the market is starting to soften, you'll be in a great spot already. If it's not, if we do see a stabilization of the land, which could very well possibly be, we could just keep it seeing stable, you're in even a better position. So you're really setting yourself up for success on either front there by getting more aggressive with that pricing.
So to be clear, like, you think this is a combination of the market and the end of year, which is creating this unbelievable buying opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. I mean, like I said, I see it at scale. It's not just me, but I see it with all my other clients and stuff at this time right now. So it's there's just I can't ignore it at this point because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, my clients are doing 2 or 3 deals in
Had to
in
bring
the
it to the
90 days.
podcast.
Yeah, and I'm like, I got to talk about it because it's
Yeah.
awesome and I love it, right? So, but I think a lot of people are just kind of like continuing on and being consistent with what they have been doing, but I'm gonna be like, I need to sound the alarm a little bit, like, hey, let's move a little bit quicker
Yep.
right now into marketing.
Your 2026 starts right now. You know what I mean? Like, your 2026 success is starting right now in whatever, mid October. We got a couple months left here, a lot of holidays, a lot of weird things.
Hmm.
But if you're able to grind through these, but let's talk about, Derek, tactical strategies. You're talking with maybe your students in your business.
Yep.
Is it increasing marketing? And what strategies are we doing to take advantage of these times?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, like, we're seeing good responses from both sides of the text and the mail side of marketing. Those are, I mean, that's what I do. That's what a lot of my clients do. I can't really speak to cold calling because I don't do that, and I don't have any clients that are doing that. I don't think it's a bad way to go, obviously, but with text and mail, we're seeing a good response. We're seeing a better response than we have been normally with the same amount of marketing. So when we see that, we can go, all right, now's a great time to get into maybe another form of marketing that you haven't been doing. So if you've just been sending mail, adding on that follow up text, or if you've just been doing text message, maybe adding in follow up mail could also be a way to go. So I think you can start leveling up your marketing in a really smart way. I think it's not gonna increase your budget concerns all that much. I think there's some great strategies around this. But really, I think what I for whatever reason, this year seemed to be a shift back to mail. In the last 6 months or so, I saw a lot of people kind of going away from text messaging, getting back into mail, which I love. I started with mail until I started adding text messages last year. Um, I think people are missing the boat on the 1-2 punch on both of those. And I think if you were gonna do it, I don't think there's a better time than right now to add that second layer of marketing onto your marketing strategy.
Either way, if you're texting or if you're mailing only,
Yeah.
adding another thing. What does that look like operation wise? Like, when you're working with someone, what does that look like operation wise? Like, when you're adding a whole new marketing strategy, when in some people's mind, and maybe my mind too, like, it's like, all right, let's just scale up this one. um, be operation wise, it's heavier to add a new thing instead of just scaling up that. What's kind of your reasoning behind when you're having that conversation with someone? Like, yeah, you absolutely can scale it up, Mr. or Mrs. Client, Mr. or Mrs. Student. But I think adding this other strategy is going to be more like return better.
Speed. Speed is the biggest thing, right? Like you said, we're coming up to 2.5 months left in this year. Um, to add more mail will be
Yep.
fine, right? You're gonna the problem with mail is that it's slow. We know that. Like by the time I get my mail in and get it, approved and printed and mailed, we're talking at this point, my mail's not hitting till second week of November, right? If I get it out today, I'll be stoked to get it out second week in November. Now I have a month and a half left, right? Like how much more mail can I do? And on top of that, it's going to be expensive. With text message, I can get that if I haven't texted at all, I don't have a text message platform, anything set up, I could have that up and running in 7 days
Wow.
and be texting, you know, next weekend. Really, if I'm on my game, I could have 2,000 text messages out within 2 weeks and getting responses right away. So I think right now it's speed. Like even if you were just going to add this for a short period of time, right? I know a lot of people kind of pull off marketing during the holidays because they're like, oh, people don't sell, people don't buy, the real estate market slows down. I just don't see that being the case this year. I think people are going to be desperate to be selling land at this time. So we need to get into those markets and be buying that land, helping people out. Really, I mean, when you think
Yeah.
about it, like these people are desperate for this money. They're desperate for the cash, get out of debt, like get more liquid. All these things that are happening, we're going to be the people that are going to come in and be able to help these people out. But we need to be able to operate on a quicker basis. We need to be getting more marketing out, and I think speed is the biggest thing in that.
And the nice thing about texting in particular is like it's cheaper too, as far as like when a lot of people pull back on their business. And mail can be frustrating because like you can still send a lot of mail and not get great responses. This time of year, people might throw things out. People might put it in a pile and take care of it in January. Texting, like they're gonna see that text message. Maybe they don't respond, but they're going to see that. And it is a cheaper way to reach out to 10,000 people. I'm not saying that should be your only way of reaching out, but, I've seen that historically too with the success of texting around these times, just because, like you said, it's so immediate, and, I don't think text messages response-wise is gonna change whether it's, October, November, December, or any other time in the year. Mail, I think, does get set aside more so
Mhm.
this time of year, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, they're getting, you're going to have the Black Friday mailers that go out. Everyone's going to be hitting everybody up for, sales and holiday parties and Christmas cards and all that stuff. So the mail is going to stack up in people's mailboxes, and they're going to be a little bit more discerning about how much time they're going to spend opening mail. And a lot of times, that mail might get tossed, right? So I think the 1-2 punch of following up with a text message after that mail goes out, um, and then even, I mean, with talking strategy, there's another like text strategy that I really love as well. So there's so many other ways to do this where you're really capitalizing on the marketing even you've already sent.
Mhm.
So I think there's a big opportunity to, if your mail isn't getting opened at the rate that you thought it was during the holidays, like text message is really the way to go to dive in, especially during the holidays. I was just looking up some data on open rates, right? Like average open rates. And I think you and I had talked about open rates for mail, right? It's about 50% for a double window mailer, which isn't bad. I think that's great. But text message open rates, I mean, it's a text message, 98%
Yep.
on average. Like you're not gonna beat that with mail, So I think that alone makes it a little bit, better, quicker way to market, especially this time of year.
Real quick, guys, before we get back to the episode, if you're looking to get into land flipping, get your first land deal. We have helped so many people with our one-on-one coaching. You guys want to schedule a call, learn more, hit the link below, landinvestingonline.com/consultations, schedule a call, and we'll help you out. That makes a ton of sense. Let's talk about that text mail text strategy that you just referred to. I think if people want tactical stuff in this, you're a very high level investor in terms of this. It's probably not for everybody, just operations wise. But let's talk about that strategy because I'm sure someone is going to connect with this and like, yeah, I need to do this. That makes sense.
Yeah. So obviously we know mail is the most expensive form of marketing that we do, that we talk about. So getting into testing markets. So let's say you're operating a little bit higher level, right? So you're trying to get out. 10,000 mailers a month, but like you're kind of shooting in the dark a little bit as far as like maybe you're doing okay county selection, maybe you're doing okay pricing, and your mailers are going out and you're not getting the response rate that you expect. One strategy that I love is sending out a cold text message to the county, seeing what your response rate's like, right? So a normal response rate is going to be around that 10%. Like we see that a lot, 10 to 12%. A good response rate would be something in that like 12, all the way up to 20% range. Like if you see that kind of response rate from text messages, you could assume these people aren't maybe getting a lot of marketing already. Like they're interested. That's a little bit of a hotter market. Um, or maybe not less, maybe not a hotter market per se data wise, but a less marketed to market where there's some opportunity for you to get in before it becomes hot. So sending out a text message blast going, okay, I got a 15% response rate. Now I'm going to hit them with the mailer, right? So cold
Mm,
text response rate, get a deal, don't get a deal. It's not the point of that first text message. It's to test the temperature of the market. It's a really cheap way to test the temperature of the market. Get a deal, great. But now you've tested that temperature, you send the mailer out, right? Now not only are you stacking your marketing, right? So they've seen your name once in a text message, now they're getting a piece of mail from you with an offer. So now you've hit them with the, hey, I'm looking to buy land. Do you own this? And now you're getting the, oh, I have this offer. And then you hit them with that follow up text message, right? So now they have two text messages from the same number, like, oh, this guy's really, they start to recognize the name. They know what your offer price is. You've hit them on kind of every level. So when you do make that contact with them, now they're like, oh, yeah, like this guy from XYZ land company, is really interested in buying our land. I got his offer, he's really, reaching out to me. He seems like a good guy. And then they text you back finally, right? So you've hit them three times with marketing, but really only one of them was like pricey, but the two of them are relatively less expensive, right? It's a really low barrier of entry to get into that market. Um, and you'll see a ton of response, you'll see a ton of results, and you have three ways now to get a deal. Maybe you get one on the cold text, maybe you get one through the mailer, and then maybe a couple more on that follow-up text, and you've really maximized that hot market, right? Once you've tapped, like it's like tapping a well, right? Okay, I've tapped this well. I'm not just going to go down there and grab a cup of water. Like I'm drilling that well. I'm going to get buckets. I'm going to get pumps. We're going to try to get as much water out of this well as we can before it runs dry. That's exactly what you do when you find that county that you've tested with cold text.
yep. And it's not any different than any everyone like tries to act like this is so much different than marketing any other business. You go to whatever website it is, like a website that has an online presence, what's going to happen next time you get on Facebook or Instagram? You're going to see an ad from them every single time. Like it's just retargeting. Like it is
Totally.
multiple touch points. It's retargeting based on some kind of action, and the results are going to work. There's a reason every single big company does it in terms of social media stuff, everything like that. Um, it's really, really interesting though. That's I haven't heard that before, Derek. I don't know. Did you get that from someone else or you come up with that?
Yeah, so it kind of came up with it, right? So I've heard of some people doing the test the market out with the text message and follow up the mail. And I was like, why don't we add the follow up text message onto there? It's not going to cost much more, right? Um, and so you can retarget again. So I think that that third touch point is really valuable for that like third touch point. Like the more people see who you are, the more people hear your name, the more people see your business um, in different ways, the more likely they are to be to do business with you. I remember that from my gym business. I think the rule was like they had to see you 8 times before they made a buying or selling decision. So this is a good, easy way to hit it 3 times relatively inexpensively, especially if you've already qualified the market with that first cold text. So, yeah.
That makes sense. I like that strategy a lot. So you said you closed or locked up, got under contract 6 deals last week. Is there anything else you're doing sales wise, or do the conversations feel different to you this time of year or this time in the market, or is there something that's separating like Derek's conversations with other people that I know aren't doing 6 contracts a week?
You're trying to get in on my golden nuggets here. I see. I usually reserve this stuff for my clients, but we'll give it a. I don't. Here's the thing. I'm not doing anything different than I have been doing. I'm not doing anything different than what I teach in my program. Um, Response rate has been interesting lately. What I've been seeing with my mail specifically has been a slightly lower response rate, but what I have been seeing is less hate calls and more just like positive responses, which is making me once again get into that mode of like, hey, the market is starting to soften. The market is primed to sell land, and so I'm seeing a lot more positive response rates. I'm seeing a lot less negative response rates, which is great, right? I had a client just last week who got their first, their mail hit. They got one call in the county. It was a deal, right? And so
Wow.
it's like they didn't get any hate calls. They got one call and it was a deal. So I'm starting to see more of like, hey, I sent out 1,000 mailers and I only got 5 calls back, but 3 of them were interested in selling. And I'm like, fantastic. That's incredible, actually, right? Like you didn't have to deal with all the hate. Like I remember when I first started, I'd be getting 20 calls and they'd all, I'd be hopeful that 3 or 4 of them were deals and the rest of them were hate calls. I've been seeing a reduction in the hate calls and more of the positive response rates, from mail specifically. And honestly, I've changed up a little bit of my texting. I was talking to Shelby about this and like how, she's great at getting her response rates are so insane. So I was like, I tapped into her. She's one of the other coaches, if you guys don't know. Um, and I was like, like, how are you getting these like 20% response rates consistently? And so she kind of changed up how I thought about texting as far as like not necessarily hitting somebody with like a big story or a sales pitch or anything like that, but just doing one thing, which was qualifying ownership. So saying something like, "Hey, my name's Darrick. I'm a local investor in the area. I'm looking to buy more land in the area. I saw that you own this property. Do you still own it?" Now, all I'm doing in that text message is just trying to see if they own it. That's it, right? I'm just trying to qualify ownership. And in that sense, they already know I'm looking to buy because I wrote that in my first. So just a yes answer, yes, I still own it, is a positive response because they know what's coming next. They know I'm going to try to make them an offer to buy that land because I already said that, right? I'm looking to buy. So I'm getting a much better response rate from that style of text message, and able to move into more conversations, getting people on the phone, um, and basically just seeing how I can help. That's the thing. Like if you go into every call this time of year in this kind of market saying, how can I help? Like, I think that a lot of people get into this mode of like, oh, I want to be this fancy marketer and I want to like have a sales pitch. And what's my script? Derek, give me a script. Where's the fancy script that gets you all the deals? No script. Y'all, I have no script. My script is how can I help? What are we looking to do? Right?
Yeah.
Tell me what your issues are. Let me see how I can help. Right? Let's get that under contract and we'll see how close we can get. So it's having those conversations with people consistently, getting people on the phone, having those conversations. But that has not changed in my business. It's gotten better because I think when I first jumped into this, I was like also like,
Hmm.
how can I buy people's land? But now it's
Yep.
definitely more, how can I help you? Right.
Yeah.
And that changed my business immensely a couple years ago. So yeah.
That makes a ton of sense. And for everyone watching, like I'm not one who's big on like over analyzing trends in markets. But one thing Derek has a leg up on me and I mean, kind of me and then everybody else listening is like he has a pulse on 50, like whatever, however many students, like a large volume. So he can analyze trends so fast. Like if you are struggling in your business from in June or something, it's just your business. Like it might just be a lull month or something like that. But it's like Derek has seen these trends over the last 2 months in a high volume of businesses, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pieces of marketing, mail, text, and combination of both. So like it's so easy for Derek, not easy, but it gives Derek the ability to analyze trends at a really in shorter periods of time than you can in just one business, if that makes sense. So yeah, I appreciate these insights, Derek. Anything else like, okay, people acquire a bunch of land these next 60 days, 90 days, they implement what you're talking about. And then like their mindset should be like, try to sell it this year, or is it like, all right, let's just try to sell it in January and February? Derek said it's going to sell well then. What's the strategies with
Yeah.
disposition come the end of this year, early part of next year?
Good question. I mean, people are always looking for discounted land, right?
Mm,
Like I always talk to my clients about farmers, right? If farmers find a good deal on land, they're just going to buy it. They're like land collectors, right? So if farmer sees a parcel of land pop up that's 20% below market value, they'll buy it. They don't care what time of year it is, right? If it's a good piece of land that they might be able to use for something, they're going to buy it. There's farmers in every county in this country. They're the biggest, one of the largest subsets of the population of landowners. um, I'm definitely getting stuff up for sale, right? I'm not waiting till January to get things up for sale. I'm putting it up on the market. The fact that we're buying at a discount or that we're double closing with such a runway of profit, we still want to be making sure that we're aggressive with our pricing right now. I think that is the biggest thing. I'm still seeing, and this is like across the board in all the counties that I work in, I'm still seeing way overpriced properties on the market where I'm like, I'm going into a market. I know what I'm offering price wise. I go to like I went to go comp my a parcel that somebody called on me last week, one of the deals I got under contract. And I'm looking at these, obviously I look at the sold comps and I'm like, all right, things are selling for around 6 to 10K an acre. And I go to look at the for sales and everything's listed for 15 to $20,000 an acre. And I'm like, I'm struggling with that. I'm like, how are you guys doing that? Like you're not, and you look at their results and they're not getting good results. So coming in, being able to like undercut the market with your land, you can still sell land at this time of the year, right? I have sold land this time of the year. People think it slows down, but like when your deal pops up, a deal pops up, right? People aren't going to wait just because of the time of year to get that deal. They're going to strike right now. If they got the cash, if they're looking for land, you know, they're gonna go for it. Some people are selling land to get into other land. Some people are selling off, gold's at an all-time high. If they bought gold at 300 an ounce and now they just sold it at $5,000 an ounce, they got all this cash. Maybe they want to throw it into a little bit more secure asset for the long-term hold. There's no better thing to do that to than land and real estate. So there are people sitting off the side looking for deals. So if we can come in 10%, 15% below market value, guess what they're doing? They're going to be buying that land. So yeah, absolutely. You're getting it on the market as
Yep.
soon as you can. 100%. You're not waiting. But come January and February, for whatever reason, every year, like I said, it goes, right? You're going to stress out in December if you have something that's not selling. And then all of a sudden January is going to hit and you'll be like, they all sold. I
There
don't
it
know why
goes.
that is. Every year happens. But that's my experience and my client's experience. But you're gonna get it up on the market. You
Yep.
get it under contract, you buy it, throw it up on the market. Obviously, get good marketing, get good pictures, get good pricing, get a good description, handle it yourself and get that all done. Don't leave it up to a realtor. I love realtors. I used to be one. I'm right there with you, but do it yourself.
That's awesome, man. This is a good episode. This is very tactical. Like I always like having these episodes be, especially with you because you're so in the business. If you guys are watching and you are doing this business to some degree, scaling up your marketing these next 30, 60 days is really, really important. Like Derek's talking about, texting is a great way to do that for cheaper and just reaching out to a lot of people. If you guys are not in land flipping right now, don't like say like, yeah, I'll do that next year. Like now is the time to get started. You'll get deals by the end of the year. If you guys want to sign up for a consultation, see what our coaching is all about, there would be a link in the description below. Darrick, I appreciate you coming on the show. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for having me.